Here I am working on an example for making different weapons. Here we have the original weapon I created, and here's the second variation. This one has debug trace on for its collision, so we can make sure we can size it up with the particle effect. And it also has gravity changed as well. And all it took to achieve that, I've made clones of the projectile manager. And each projectile manager governs a unique projectile type, which probably corresponds to a unique weapon. So we could think of these projectile managers as each one being a unique weapon, weapon 1, 2, and 3. And in fact, each projectile manager has a tag, and in this tag we have weapon 1, weapon 2, and weapon 3. Weapon 1, if we go into shooter core content, weapons, BInk, proto, everything in here is sort of the original first BInk weapon experiment. And then in these folders where it says alternative and alts is basically copies of the essential components that make this weapon and put into here. So we have the weapon 2 pickup, we have an ID and WID for weapon 2, which assigns the GA for weapon 2 and the ability set for weapon 2. And all those clones basically allow us to make a second weapon. So in GA, for the gameplay ability weapon 2, this is what's going to find a reference to the projectile manager, and then it'll access the projectiles manager, add projectile. Here we can specify the actual sphere collision radius for the projectile, so we can adjust that size. And for the visual effect, that will actually be assigned on the projectile itself. So if we open up, let's get rid of the search filter. If we open up this part under projectiles visualized and go to the Niagara and go ahead and do a search here, we can see under NFX visuals weapons, I have two different projectiles. One is for the first weapon, and the second is for the second weapon that looked more spherical. Sure enough, if we open this up and we go to the mesh renderer, it has a sphere. If we open this up and go to the mesh renderer, we have a unique mesh for the first one. And so by changing the Niagara effect and assigning it to the projectile, and by tweaking the parameters on the projectile itself, like for example here we've set half gravity for the projectiles, and the pool size, and we can change how the projectile sways, and we can change the splat size for the projectile. So between the Niagara for the visualization and the exposed parameters on the projectile manager, and just copying the essential components that make a weapon in Lyra, we can basically make a second weapon or pickup. You know what, I think because it's a bigger blob, I think the splat size should be bigger. So we'll go here. We'll make the splat size literally 2 times bigger. Looks like he picked up that weapon. Now we have bigger splat sizes.